In this video, we're going to be solving some workshop problems. And I'll start with a bit of a confession. I now have not one, not two, but 3 sets of hand tools. Why does one man need 3 sets of tools? Well, not because I have some kind of tool obsession, although some people would disagree. Obviously the workshop ones are for use in the workshop and I don't want any of these going missing when I need them. The tools that I had extras of, or the ones that weren't quite good enough for workshop use, ended up here in the house. That way I can be a little lazy and I don't have to go to the workshop whenever I need something here. More recently though, a friend got in touch and asked me if I wanted any of his dad's old tools. And so I ended up compiling a 3rd set of tools for the car. Because when I'm away from home doing jobs, even though I usually take what I need from the workshop with me, there always seems to be something that I need that I've forgotten. And if I'm at somewhere like my mother-in-law's, for example, there's always the "while you're here, would you mind?" Second-hand tools are so cheap, often free, and they're often so easy to come by. Having multiple sets just makes life easier. And there were some good quality tools among this latest haul. I also really like this toolbox. Originally these drawers had moulded plastic inside full of drill bits and stuff like that. So I ripped that out and added some hardboard in the bottom so that I can use these as regular tool drawers. The trouble is, things inevitably get moved around from time to time and I want to be able to return the tools back to the set that they belong to. In here I have an old tin of red hammerite. I'm going to set up a little drying rack and simply dip each of the tools into the tin of paint before hanging them up to dry. A solvent-based paint like hammerite is going to be best for this, for its durability, and the tools need to be reasonably clean and free of grease for the paint to adhere. But I'm not being too precious about this. I don't need this to look good. I'm just doing this as a way to identify where to return my tools back to, so that hopefully things don't go missing. On a sunny and breezy day like this paint should be touched dry in a few hours. And I did the same again for my home tools, this time using some old spare blue enamel paint. There were a few tools that I didn't want to paint, and for those I'll use some insulation tape of the appropriate colour. Next up is something that's been bothering me for a while and I just haven't got around to fixing it. A while back I built this storage solution for my 2 sanders and this works great in terms of location because it's close to my dust extraction hose and my main workbench where I do most of my sanding, but it has created an issue because when I'm sanding at my workbench the hose is forever getting snagged. So I ended up rounding over this corner, so now it snags less, but this still isn't ideal. And because the extraction port on these sanders is so low down, as you can see, it's forever getting caught on the edge of the workbench or on the workpiece itself. So often when I'm trying to sand something, either I need to use 2 hands like this, or I need to hook the hose over my shoulder like this. And because I've got this post in the middle of my workshop, this is a perfect opportunity to make some kind of swinging arm that will hold the hose up out of the way. And as usual, I'm just going to use bits and pieces that I have laying around the workshop. I'm going to be adding lots of holes to this, not only to make it lighter in weight, but also to give me places to tether things. I'll use some India ink to stain this jet black. I added a block just to space this off the post a bit, which will give the arm more room to swing. Cable ties will work great to hold these up. Not only will this hold my vacuum hose, but also the power cables too. And this is how it looks now the cables are tethered. And this is how it was before with the cables dangling on the floor. I've got quite a good range of motion with this, so I can reach all 4 corners of my workbench with the sander with no issues, and also the same for the workbench over here too. However, I do still have the option of pushing the hose through the cable tie and getting the same reach as I had before. I had another idea shortly after this, which was to use a couple of clip buckles taken from an old bag, and I can use these as a quick release for both the hose and the power cables too. But obviously the best part is there'll be no more snagging of the hose on the workbench. Pretty happy with that. Regular viewers will know how much I love my Bisley drawers for storing small parts, things like nuts, bolts, washers, gloves, impact bits, drill bits, screws, handles, hinges, you name it, it lives in here. I even wrote a song about them. Drawers are very nice for me, especially these ones by Bisley. They are my favourite workshop storage solution, but finding boxes that actually fit inside is hard. I end up with the drawers stuffed full of things like bags and boxes that are too tall for the drawers to close. My friend Dean at Woodwork Journey recommended a 3D printable solution called Gridfinity, a system that's capable of optimising every square millimetre of space, which also stops things sliding around. Over the past few years, I've had loads of 3D printing ideas for the workshop. As you'll see, my table saw's zero clearance insert is looking worse for wear. They are a pain to make from wood, and not only that, but finding a safe way to cut a slot for the riving knife is always tricky. And you can't buy plastic ones for most saws. And obviously the insert plates that come with saws have these huge gaps in them, allowing for blade tilt, and small offcuts will frequently fall down there next to the spinning blade. Not good. Zero clearance allows for much better cut quality on the table saw because the material that you're cutting is fully supported, meaning less tear out. I didn't get this perfect on first attempt. It was a great fit in my saw, but the way I designed the dovetails to join the two pieces together meant that on one side of the blade cut there wasn't enough to hold this together. Nothing a bit of super glue won't fix though, and this will still get used as we don't waste plastic at our house. But I did redesign and print a Mark II, which as you can see resolves that issue for future inserts. And it's that ability to modify things that are fully customizable that makes 3D printing so interesting to me. So when Bamboo Lab offered to send me one of their new printers, the P2S, I jumped at the chance. This isn't the hobbyist printer of 5 years ago where you spend more time fixing things than actually using it. It's a tool capable of printing at 500mm per second, and it's fully enclosed and basically plug and play. Setup was quick and easy, and with countless 3D models available online, most of them free too, often the design work has already been done for you by someone else. But for me, being able to design, prototype and print things rather than struggling to find the things that I need online or in shops has been a real time saver and a bit of a game changer, to be honest. And obviously it's not just solutions for the workshop. I've been able to repair so many of Toddler Brown's broken toys, and obviously there are countless solutions for around the home too. So if you want to level up your making and problem solving abilities, check out the Bamboo Lab P2S or one of their other printing machines. For this model, prices start at around £479 for the base unit. Bamboo Lab are currently running their 4th anniversary sale, so right now is a great time to buy one. You can find a link in the description below this video. I know that spending a couple of hours organising drawers won't be everyone's cup of tea, but to me, that was heaven. I have another gadget to show off in this video too. I got lucky in a charity shop and found a Dymo label maker, and because the Gridfinity boxes have space for labels, I can label a few of these. I'm not going to do all of them because over time I'll probably store different things in different boxes, but the ones that I label will help me to identify when I'm running low on certain things. This will get plenty of use around the home too. The next issue I want to solve is storage for my silicone caulks and adhesive tubes because this ratty old cardboard box isn't going to hold up for much longer. The issue that I've always had with storing these tubes, particularly the ones that have been used already, is that all of the stuff gets pushed up to the top, which makes them top heavy, and then if you stack them in a cupboard, they just want to fall over all the time. So I want my storage system to be able to support them, but also show what's in them because I want to be able to see at a glance if I'm short of decorator's caulk, for example. I also want this solution to be able to store spare nozzles and my silicone tools. And I want my rack to be 615mm in length for reasons which I will explain later. I ripped 4 100mm wide panels which will be for my horizontals. I'll include dimensions as I go along here in case someone wants to build one of these. It's only 9mm thick plywood that I'm using for this. This is just packaging ply that one of my woodworking machines arrived in, but I'd recommend using 12 or 18mm. So I cut these to 600mm long, and then these two side panels are 100mm by 300mm. I took 2 of my 600mm lengths and marked up the centre and then marked up spacings every 65mm. These marks represent the centre of some holes, which I'll drill with a 52mm hole saw, and I'm drilling through 2 panels together at the same time, but I have a third board underneath just to help minimise breakout. Now I can get this glued and pinned, starting with the bottom panel. Then 110mm up from that is going to be a shelf, and for that I'm laminating one of the solid boards to one of the holy panels. And then the top holy panel goes at the top. I had a piece of hardboard which I'll use as a back panel. I cut this to the exact size of the assembled unit, and I can glue and pin that to the back, which is going to help strengthen everything as this ply is pretty thin. Now I'm cutting a divider panel for the bottom, so this is 100 by 110 mil. And then I made some small boxes to go inside the two compartments at the bottom using the bits of ply that I had left over. And I'll just glue and clamp these together. I allowed 3mm tolerance at the top and the sides just to make sure that these will fit. And normally I would do finger holes for small drawer boxes like this, but I've got an abundance of second-hand handles at the moment, so I'm just going to add a couple of these. Applying some candle wax will make sure that they slide in easy. And this will sit nicely in the racking in our storeroom. I mentioned earlier that I now have 3 sets of hand tools, but I also have 3 bins in the workshop, and I'm about to add a 4th. This is my general waste bin. Then I have a good firewood bin. This is for the stuff that I can burn. Then I have a bad firewood bin, plywood, MDF, OSB, treated wood or painted wood. And over here by the bandsaw, for all of the little offcuts at the bandsaw, it was getting really annoying having to either lob them all over there or over there. I know that I'm lucky to have a space as big as this, and some people won't be able to justify that much space for bins, but for me this system works quite well. Up on this shelf are my mouldings, dowels, pieces of trim, and this is getting a little bit out of hand, so I'm going to spend some time sorting this out. I want to separate all of the dowels and store them on the bottom shelf. Some of this stuff just isn't worth keeping, so I'll chop it up for firewood. And then I'll store all of the mouldings and trim pieces separately. I like to tape together all of the pieces that are the same, just so that I can easily see how much of each thing I have. And up in the loft I had some unused 100mm pipe left over from when I installed my dust extraction. I'm just going to tape this together with some gaffer tape so that I can organise all this stuff a little bit better. Not a great solution, but incremental improvements like these are all part of the workshop journey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.